Alright, so today we're going to be talking about how to correctly conjugate AR verbs. When I say AR verbs, I basically mean verbs that end in AR. Let's look at how to conjugate those. In our notes, we see that it says, many infinitives in Spanish end in AR. How do you form the present tense of these verbs? Well, we need to know what an infinitive is. An infinitive is any verb that has not been changed at all, okay, or conjugated. And so that's what we're looking at today, is how to take a verb that ends in an AR. For example, hablar, which means to talk. It means to talk. And we're going to look at how to take the infinitive, because it ends in an AR, and we're going to look at how to change it to say I talk, or he talks, or you talk. So let's look. So if you're looking at the notes, it says to form the present tense of a regular verb that ends in AR, like this verb hablar, you need to drop the AR completely, okay? So in your head, you drop the AR, and then you add the appropriate ending. And so here are the endings, and we're going to introduce the verb chart a little more here in a second. But it's o, as, a, amos, we're not worried about vosotros, and an, okay? So to say I speak English, you can say yo hablo inglés, or you could simply say hablo. So let's look a little deeper into the verb chart and how that works for conjugations. So we have this verb tomar. Notice that it ends in an AR, so it's an infinitive first off because it hasn't been changed. So let's change it a little bit, okay? But first, let's look at the placement of the verb conjugation chart. In the first box is where we would have yo. In the second box is where we would have tú. In the third box is where we would have él, ella, or usted. In this top right box is where we would have nosotros. And then in this bottom box is where we would have ellos, ellas, and ustedes. Okay? Now, like the note said, we basically drop off the AR, okay? So we're going to drop it off and we're going to write it in each one. T-O-M, ignore the AR. T-O-M, ignore the AR. T-O-M, ignore the AR. T-O-M, ignore the AR. T-O-M, drop the AR. So then you have to know where the verb endings go. So, in the yo box, you simply add an O. So it would be yo tomo. In the tú box, you simply add AS, tú tomas. In the él, ella, usted box, you simply add an A, toma. In the nosotros, you add amos, which would be tomamos. And then in the ellos, ellas, and ustedes box, you simply put an, toman. So, look at how we did this, and in the next few seconds, I'm going to put up a chart that is blank with a verb. I want you to first write the verb endings like o, as, a, amos, an, where they go, okay? Then I want you to try to conjugate the verb. So when I show the verb chart, I want you to pause the video, draw the verb chart out, and practice conjugating the whole verb. So here's the verb that we want to conjugate. Notice that the infinitive does have the AR there, and the infinitive has not been changed, but we want to conjugate this verb using the verb chart. So pause the video and try to do it step by first knowing exactly where the endings are in each of these boxes as far as what you would do for the ending, and then if you can, just complete the word or just conjugate it the best that you know how, and pause the video. When you're ready, play it so that we can review. Alright, so hopefully you have been able to correctly conjugate the verb pasear. So let's go through this. The ending is AR, so in the yo form you're going to have O. In the tú form you're going to have as. In the él, ella, usted form you're going to have a. In the nosotros you're going to have amos. And then in the ellos, ellas, ustedes you're going to have an, okay? So then all you have to do is take the remainder right here, P-A-S-E, and plug it in. So P-A-S-E. 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 So, if you're looking in the yo form, it would be paseo. In the tú, paseas. El y usted, pasea. In the nosotros, paseamos. And in the ellos y ustedes, pasean. Congratulations, you've just conjugated your first AR verb. Now, just to review, I want you to give me just the endings for conjugating an AR verb. Pause the video, draw the chart, complete it for practice, and then play to see your answers. Okay, so here is what it would be. In the yo form, in the yo box, you would have o. In the tú, you would have as. In the el, ella, usted, you would have a. In the nosotros, you would have amos. And in the ellos, ellas, ustedes, you would have an. Now, to finish this lesson, I want you to conjugate the verb pasear. I want you to tell me what the definition is of this verb, and then conjugate it correctly. We have previously conjugated this verb earlier in the lesson. Pause the video to conjugate the verb, and then play it to see your answers. So, pasear means to go for a walk. Hopefully you remembered that. Now, to conjugate, remember this is the infinitive, and the infinitive ends in an AR. So we already know the endings. We drop the AR, and we would write P-A-S-E for all of these. So let me do that real quick. Then you just do the correct endings for AR verbs, which is o, as, a, amos, an. So we have paseo, paseas, pasea, paseamos, pasean. Hopefully you've learned how to conjugate verbs after looking at this lesson, and especially conjugating AR verbs.